Winter backpacking is a different experience than when you're out there in the heat of summer. The snow brings a quiet solitude that just gets amplified by the lack of insects and humans. With the right gear, you can even stay comfortable throughout those cold nights. This is a solo trip out in the Pike National Forest of Colorado, and I'm glad that you're here. Well, if this place looks familiar, it's because it's exactly where I had that mountain lion encounter several months ago. It's also extremely windy. We'll see how that wind filter works on the mic. All right, so for lunch, we're gonna do these teriyaki Japanese noodles. It's kind of like a ramen. I've never done them before, but they looked great. So we'll see how it works. Not amazing. After lunch, I just needed to find a place to hang my food before I set up camp. So let's talk a minute about this Pulk sled, you guys. Made this myself out of a children's sled, cost about $8. Drilled some holes, put grommets around it with paracord so that I can lash gear on top of it. What's cool is, even though this area is dried out, which is nice, so I can set up camp here where it's dry, on the way here was all snowy and ice. Pulling this behind me is cool because the gear's not on my back. It's real convenient. Let me show you kind of how this works though. I've got these bungee cords, lashing everything down. I've got a tarp here, a little 5x8 tarp to cover the gear in case it gets wet. And then 2 full packs. In the backpack, I've got the back backpack, I've got the tent, the sleeping bag, sleep system, down quilt, all that kind of stuff for setting up camp. This is all miscellaneous, cook gear, food. I brought beer with me because I could pull it behind me. You don't usually have beer when you backpack. I'm in a sled, what's going on? So, I'm gonna start pulling this stuff out, gather firewood together. Once the wind dies down, hopefully I can set camp up. Very excited to have you out here though, this will be fun. So now that we've got all that firewood gathered, it's time to break it up, cut it, get it ready for the stove tonight. These little ones you can break by hand. The stove is 12 inches long, so I've got to make sure these are about 10, 11 inches at the most. And I'm gonna just start stacking stuff up. I have an axe for some of the bigger wood. And then for these really big pieces, brought a folding saw. And I'm gonna try to cut this one, in fact, in half, and then use that as the very last thing at the night. The very last thing I stoke at night will be that piece right there. Went ahead and put the tent up because of all the wind, get a windbreak. Now I need to put this stove together. All right, we're good. The stove is ready. Now what's cool is you put these little bars on either side of that pipe hole for a couple reasons. One, the pipe has a, what's it called, a damper. The pipe has a damper that's gonna sit on here and it rests on there so the weight's not on the body of the stove. You you also use this to cook on. You set cups and bowls on here to cook. All right, now let's do the stovepipe. Boom. So stove's in place, got the pipe together, just got to put it all up here. All right, good to go. Got everything set here. Stove is set, firewood's cut, stacked in the tent here, ready to go. Got our extra gear in the back. These 2 big logs that I sawed, at the end of the night, I'm gonna put those in the stove, put them on the bed of coals, and I hope they burn for hours, we'll see. And then over here, got the inner lining with all my sleep stuff, just haven't set that up. Do that in a little bit. Back here at the fire pit, cooking dinner up. That sun is almost over the mountain. Again, just using that Lixada wood stove. Weighs like 1/4 pound, something like that, 4 ounces. You don't need any fuel other than little twigs. I'm boiling 2 cups of water. And dinner tonight's gonna be beef stroganoff, Mountain House. I went with the easy thing again because a lot of work to get the hot tent set up. Want to make sure I have an easy dinner. Let's get that out of there. Stir it up a little bit. Close it up. Man, these are good. When you're out here in the middle of nowhere, they're good. If I was at home, What's funny is you make one of these and you eat that first bite and you look inside and go, man, there's no way I'm gonna eat all this. But then you do. This is the best part too. Got everything set. A lot of work getting camp set. But now as the sun's going down, wind's calming down a little bit, just get to chill for a while. Inside the tent here, this wind has just never let up. It's actually about midnight. I ate dinner, came back and laid down for a little bit, and then it got cold, so I woke up and started the stove and have been going through the wood ever since. But boy, it's windy, shaking the stovepipe, shaking the stove pretty good. Tent's nice, lots of room in here. Now it's warmed up because that stove's running, but hopefully everything with the wind will be good. Well guys, it's probably about 5 in the morning. I've got water on top of the stove boiling for coffee. It finally calmed down a little bit. I went out, just peeked my head outside for a second. It is spitting snow right now. and really foggy, but still dark, still nighttime. And so last night that wind was really strong coming from this direction consistently. All of a sudden, it just whoosh, switched directions. Got cold as soon as it did that. But what I've been doing is just kind of keeping the fire going every hour or two, throwing some wood in. Stoked it really good, never put that big piece in. It was wet and I was worried it wasn't gonna burn. Camping's a weird fun, I tell you. Last night was one of those anxiety, kind of not really enjoyable, so windy, so stormy. I was just ready for it to be over, quite honestly. And my favorite camping experience probably was when I was a kid. I used to go camping with my dad all the time. We camped. We lived in the Texas Panhandle, so we'd go camping at a place called Powder Canyon. I have a video of it, and in fact, I'm supposed to go back pretty soon. But man, we would go like every Friday, spend the weekend out there in the canyon, camping in that red clay, getting everything dirty and ruined. But man, I looked forward to it, had so much fun. And now as an adult, I wonder if that's why I still like to go out so much. Coffee time, coffee time. Time for coffee. I left my spoon hanging in the bear bag up in that tree, unfortunately. So I'm using a stick to stir my coffee, a stir stick. So really nice views yesterday. It was funny kind of setting up for lunch right where that mountain lion was, 6 months ago. Just windy. It was windy the whole damn time. It is still right now though, it's nice. And it's probably about 5:30. I'm probably gonna start breaking stuff down here inside, especially with it spitting out there. If it is, I'll see. And pack up and get out of here quickly this morning. This is kind of a longer trip with the stove and the hot tip setup, using that sled, Pulk sled. And it's fun, nice to get out here. It's definitely more fun in groups and with people. I had someone ask me, do you feel like you can, do you feel like you soak it in when you're out there solo? When you're camping by yourself in the woods, can you experience it more and soak it in more? I almost think you soak it in more when you're with a group or when you have somebody else around, because that way you can relax a little bit. When you're by yourself, you're always on guard, and you should be. You need to be, right? That's how you stay safe out here. But if you really like to backpack, you're gonna go solo too, because not that many people want to go all the time. Used pretty much every bit of that wood. I've got 5 pieces that are too big that I need to cut, and that'll get me through to daytime, I'm sure. But man, I burn a lot more wood than you think you will. Now that it's February, the big push for me is to get in shape. I've really got to get in shape for the season. Fit in February, it is time to do it. Spring is going to be here before we all know it. Camping season, hiking season, it's all coming up. Lots to do, lots to see. Went ahead and packed everything up for the most part. What's really cool is you can take the inner tent down without taking the outer tarp down. So I took that down, packed the bedding, pretty much ready to go. It is 6:30 in the morning, but it is overcast outside. When I peeked out, guys, it is snowing. So here in Colorado, the next 2 days are forecast to be big storms. As soon as this sun just comes up, maybe 15 minutes more, I'm gonna go grab the bear bag, finish packing, and try to get out of here quickly.